This is Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. You're watching Sporting Icons. You don't need to be anywhere else.
Now, as this video goes along, your imagery, everything on the screen right now, for those who like imagery, that will be changing. I'll be showing you the fight cards as this video goes along. But for now, let's get a few things out of the way. Now, long gone are the days where a pay-per-view fight is a must-see fight with a world title on the line. Those days are no longer there, so we have to get updated, move into 2020 or the 21st century, depending on how far back in time you are. These are no longer the rules of the current climate. The rules now to be a pay-per-view, and it's an obvious one, if you draw in enough numbers and enough people are willing to not only watch you on TV, but willing to pay the extra on top of your broadband, your TV package, and your Sky and BT, etc. For example, here in the UK, then pay pay-per-view on top of that. If enough people are willing to do that, then you are a pay-per-view fighter. There's no point me or any other uploader moaning and crying and bickering about whether something is pay-per-view or it is not. I can make as many videos as I like criticising the pay-per-view, Sky Sports and that, and BT Sport. I'm not going to go, hold your horses everyone. Sporting Icon says, that's not pay-per-view. Let's change it. We're now going to put it on regular TV. I'm not going to waste my time with it, okay? So the rules are very simple. If you think something's pay-per-view worthy and you can afford it, then you pay for it. If you don't, then you either find other means to watch it or you won't watch it at all. Very simple, okay? So again, people who run around criticising and moaning, these are your options. Either pay for it or don't. Why beat yourself up about it? Now, going forward with a pay-per-view, you would think that with the world coming through, or hopefully it is coming through, a global pandemic, you think that broadcasters are the ones to blame, boxers are not to blame. In some ways, the promoters are not to blame, but of course, certain promoters can sway certain broadcasters to maybe put something on pay-per-view or not, whatever it may be. But ultimately, the broadcasters are the ones who give something the green light to make it pay-per-view. So they're the ones who are to blame. So you would think that with the world coming through, hopefully coming through a global pandemic and potentially entering a global recession, where a lot of people outside of the pandemic or people losing their lives with loved ones, family and all that kind of thing. But a lot of people have lost their jobs, having to take reduced hours, all that kind of thing. So you would think broadcasters would be more sympathetic to, say, for example, us, the boxing fan, by maybe not put on some pay-per-views, by maybe telling the boxers, well, we're no longer in the world that we once was, you now need to be taking less money. And to do that, we're not putting it on pay-per-view. Simple as that. But they're not going to do that because ultimately what's important to them is to line the pockets of their business. Okay, so they are the ones to blame. Now, I'm updating my website, which seems to be every other day now, where I'm adding more and more fight nights. So go over there to my website, officialsportingicons.com, where there's a link in the description box of this video. Give it a click, go to the boxing schedule, and it is literally, and I've said it time and time before, and I'll keep on saying it, it is the best boxing schedule on the internet. Other websites, they just show the TV fight cards. I show all those ones, the pay-per-views, plus all the small hall shows, exactly who's on the undercard, what belt they're fighting for, what weight division are they in, how you can watch it, exactly where it is. If there's tickets available, there'll be links to go buy your tickets. It's literally the best one on the internet, so go check it out. Either way, I'm going through it all, and a minimum of 10 pay-per-views will be happening, that we know for sure will be happening within a 3-month period. 3 months and a day. No, sorry, 3 months and a week to be precise. So 3 months, 10 pay-per-views, rising that I believe to about 15, maybe even 17 pay-per-views. But currently 10 are definitely 100% going to be happening on pay-per-view. Now, of course, I don't have to pay for all 10 plus of these ones. Of course, some will pay for you here in the UK, some will pay for you in America. Vice versa. Some will be, some won't be, depending on where you are. But we're going to start off with Jeff Horn versus Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu is a son of an absolute legend in Costa Tszyu. Is that pay-per-view? Again, go back to my original comment. If somebody is popular enough for people to pay on TV, then you are pay-per-view. Regardless of what the fight is, regardless of if there's a title on the line or not, either way, Jeff Horn is a pay-per-view fighter and he's pay-per-view in Australia. Okay, so that one will 100% be happening. It's already confirmed. Again, it's on my website. Coming across the shore to the UK. Again, I will be giving you guys, outside of these 10, other ones that I believe will be announced in due course. That will be on pay-per-view. But here in the UK, Matchroom, Sky Sports will be putting on a minimum of 3 pay-per-views minimum. In fact, I believe it'll probably rise to about 5 or 6, but currently it's 3 for sure. Starting off August 22nd, Dillian Whyte versus Alexander Povetkin for the WBC interim world heavyweight title with a fantastic undercard. So they're going to be kicking off their pay-per-view with that one. Plus they're going to have Anthony Joshua versus Kubrat Pulev as well. Obviously Joshua's pay-per-view. Pulev is a David Beckham-esque superstar in Bulgaria. So you can imagine on Bulgarian TV, that will also be pay-per-view in their country as well as. So that fight is going to be pay-per-view on Sky, as will Alexander Usyk versus Derek Chisora. Again, make up your mind whether or not you believe that's pay-per-view or not. Either way, that's 3 100% pay-per-view for Sky within a 3-month period. But sticking with the UK as well, Frank Warren, Queensberry on BT Sport, Dan Dubois versus Joe Joyce. That will be 100% happening, unless, of course, Daniel Dubois slips up against Pfeiffer, which I wouldn't have thought so, but you would imagine that he'll get through that one. Either way, he'll be taking on Joe Joyce. That will be on pay-per-view. Again, a very good undercard. And Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder towards the later part of the year. That will also be on pay-per-view. I don't necessarily agree that that's pay-per-view, along with Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz Jr., the first fight in America, due to the fact I don't think anybody in the UK should have to pay pay-per-view to watch a fight at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. But regardless of what I think, as I said before, it doesn't really matter. It is going to be pay-per-view. So that's 5 pay-per-views here in the UK within a 3-month period. And there will be more. As I said, I'll get into that one in a minute. Going across into America, we can stick with Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder Part 3. That will also be on pay-per-view on ESPN and Fox. Of course, you guys get done hard. Really, you do. With pay-per-view, your prices are ridiculous, to be honest with you. They're stupidly high. But that will also be on pay-per-view. Of course, that'll be on a not only ESPN and Fox, but obviously PVC and Top Rank. But sticking with PPC have 3 more that will definitely 100% be happening. Potentially more as well. But sticking with PBC, Jamal Charlo versus Derevchenko for the WBC middleweight world title with a stellar undercard. I mean, that's probably the best fight card out of all the fight cards that's been announced. That's probably the best one so far, let's be honest. Is it worth $75 to $100? No. But when you look at all of it, it's a very, very good card, let's be honest. Either way, that will be the PBC's second pay-per-view. Although technically it'll be their first, and the Fury Wild one will be a little bit later in the year. But you get what I'm talking about. And that'll be on Showtime, that one. And Gervonta Davis versus Leo Santa Cruz. I don't believe that's pay-per-view, but again, if you draw in enough numbers and people are willing to pay, then you're a pay-per-view fighter, so the numbers will tell. So that's 2 on Showtime, and the 4th pay-per-view from the PBC will be Errol Spence Jr. versus Danny Garcia, which I believe is November the 25th off the top of my head. Again, decide whether or not that's pay-per-view worthy. So that's another pay-per-view that will definitely be happening this year, and along with Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. Now that would be it's predominantly a US pay-per-view. Of course, it'll be done on the app. Again, details about what app it is and how you can get it on my website. But that would be a $50 one, so it is reduced price, but it is an exhibition fight, and it is still pay-per-view at $50. And I would imagine that it's pay-per-view across the world as well. I'm presuming that this app will be global, where anybody can access it. And if you watch the fight, you're paying for it. So there's that one as well. And so that's all 10 that will 100% be happening on pay-per-view. The other ones that I believe will be announced for pay-per-view, we can start off with Vasyl Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez. I'm hearing that they want that on pay-per-view, ideally with a crowd, but regardless of crowd or not, they want it on pay-per-view. Maybe it's going to be ESPN Plus, so maybe a $5 one, or the ESPN full pay-per-view of a $75 potentially. So that one I would fully expect to be announced if they can get the contractual terms between the two fighters all over the line. Again, I would imagine that Joseph Parker, whoever he's going to be taking on, that will be pay-per-view in New Zealand. If DAZN are not going through with their original plans, because the original plan for DAZN was to show Joseph Parker versus whomever it may be in New Zealand, that was going to be their New Zealand debut for DAZN. Now, of course, with everything that's gone on, is that still the plan? I don't know. If it is still the plan, it won't be pay-per-view. Well, technically it kind of will be. Also, you've got to pay a monthly subscription for DAZN. Be cheap, of course. But if it's not, then Parker is pay-per-view in New Zealand. He's a superstar in New Zealand. So whether he's going to be taking on Junior Farr, a fellow Kiwi, or he's going to be taking on a Lucas Brown from Australia, or whoever it may be. That fight is going to be on pay-per-view if DAZN do not get there on time. Okay, so there's that one. Obviously, Manny Pacquiao, we're still waiting for his opponent to be officially announced. That will be on Fox pay-per-view. I'm saying that because his last two were against Keith Thurman and previously Adrian Broner. So it'll be pretty reasonable to think that his next fight will also be on pay-per-view. There's an outside chance that it could be on DAZN if he takes on Mikey Garcia. As we know, Mikey Garcia has a fight or two contract now with DAZN and Matchroom. So if Manny Pacquiao does fight Mikey Garcia, that won't be on pay-per-view, that'll be switched to DAZN. But if he doesn't, then it's going to be on Fox pay-per-view. And if he takes on a Brit, for example, maybe an Amir Khan or a Kell Brook, for example, you know that's going to be on pay-per-view on Sky Sports, don't you? So that'll be another one for us here in the UK. Much like Terence Crawford, if he takes on, say, Kell Brook, again, these guys are in talks apparently, that's going to be on pay-per-view here on Sky Sports. So I'll give you guys a heads up right now. You know that's going to be pay-per-view, right? Would it be on pay-per-view in America? I don't know. It's strange how Terence Crawford could potentially be pound for pound number 1, 2, or 3, whatever it is that where you put him, but he doesn't really draw the numbers. So is he a pay-per-view fighter? Again, that's a debatable thing. So will he be on pay-per-view in America? I don't know, but it will be 100% here in the UK, even if the fight happens in America. But if the fight happens here in the UK, you can bet your house, your car, your dog, your wife, your kids that it will be on pay-per-view. All right, and for example, if Canelo does end up fighting Callum Smith, it's looking quite unlikely now, but if that does happen and DAZN do not enter the UK on time, which apparently they were looking to do, but if they can't, then that will be on Sky Sports pay-per-view as well as, or even if Smith doesn't get the Canelo fight and he ends up taking on, say, Billy Joe Saunders, you know that's going to be on pay-per-view as well as. So there's quite a few other ones as well that I could go around where I think that certain fights could well be on pay-per-view, especially when you look at Frank Warren reaching out the olive branch to Eddie Hearn yesterday to work together. What's the plan there? Well, there's going to be some pay-per-view fights, isn't there? And I'm not talking Joshua Fury. I'm talking maybe a Anthony Yarde versus a Joshua Buatsi or a Callum Johnson. You know they're going to put that on pay-per-view, right? You know they will. So fully expect some pay-per-views. Again, if these guys start working together this side of 2020, we don't know. But if they do, you can bet your bottom dollar, or your bottom pound even, that a pay-per-view or two will pop out of the woodwork. Much like, I believe, if DAZN does not enter the UK, Ryan Garcia versus Luke Campbell. That will also be on Sky Sports pay-per-view. But again, a lot of these other ones, I believe, probably will be happening. Again, they're not officially confirmed, but the ones that have been confirmed, you can see 10 pay-per-view fights, regardless of all the other ones that may or may not be happening. Regardless, 10 that I've given you will be happening within a 3-month period. 3 months and a week. That's a lot of pay-per-views, isn't it? A lot of pay-per-views. Quite clear, the broadcasters don't give a damn about me, you, or anything. All they care about is their own money. Anyway, drop your thoughts below, click thumbs up, and of course subscribe, and I'll catch you all on the next video.